The government is building a new wing on the Culture Wars department by going after disabled benefits fraud, which makes it slightly inconvenient that the government's own figures reveal there isn't any disabled benefits fraud. As the head of South West Water considers whether to accept a bonus to take her pay to just shy of £2 million this year, it's slightly inconvenient that the people her company provides water to are being taken to hospital for drinking it. And as the Chancellor says that a Labour government would hike taxes, it is somewhat inconvenient that he has set the tax rate at the highest level it's been in any of our lifetimes. But at least the King's doing OK, up $10 million in a year and a 45% pay rise on the way. Waving. That's where the money is. That and more coming up with me, Nick Abbott, after the new news at 10 on LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Yeah!
Well, let's get back to it.
Weather maps are indicating a scorching mini heatwave will span 400 miles and roast England before the end of May. The charts predict that London, Brighton, Canterbury and Crawley, wherever they are, will experience the highest temperatures peaking in the mid-20s between the 25th and the 29th of this month. The sweltering 5-day heatwave won't just hit the south either. Oh no, with highs of over 20 degrees centigrade, this temperature, this heat wave, is also expected across the northeast and the northwest as well.
What?
Rubbish. I'll have to check on that while you wait. One moment, please. Well, that's unusual. It's not actually raining at the moment. Can you believe that?
No.
This is Glasgow. It will be sunny tomorrow. Nonsense. Cloudy on Sunday, sunny on Tuesday and on Monday and Tuesday, and then normal service is resumed, and it will be raining on Wednesday, raining on Thursday, raining on Friday, and raining on Saturday, and what? Not raining next Sunday. Pfft, rubbish. Raining on Monday and Tuesday, and pretty much every day for the rest of your lives. Never mind. So those are the facts, Jack. But wait, this talk of a heatwave appears to be something that journalists just made up. The Met Office's forecast for the tail end of May does not explicitly mention a heatwave, but it does say that it looks remaining fairly unsettled across most of the UK, with further rain, showers or even thunderstorms in places, although there will be some sunshine between times. The best of this is in southwestern parts. So how is that a heatwave? How did they get from rain, showers and thunderstorms to a heat wave? These journalists are more like fiction writers. Yeah, thanks a lot, Donny. Everyone's got fake news now.
Don't be rude.
But there are other weather forecasters than the Met Office. If you don't like their forecast, there's other ones, like James at Exacta Weather, which sounds, it's pretty precise, actually. The clue's in the name. He said some of the main third-party computer models are now becoming more popular in recognition of the high pressure that rises across our shores throughout next week. Does anybody have any idea what that bloke's saying?
No.
He said there are some very extreme runs for heat coming through for this final third of the month and into June, and this particular period and weather scenario for a heat wave is something we have been covering for these exact dates over the past several months in our spring forecast and over the past several weeks in our summer forecast for around early June. Hey, James, at Exacta Weather, would you like to buy some punctuation?
No.
I mean, good grief, just throw a comma in there once in a while. Load it into a blunderbuss and just blast it at that sentence. Anywhere would be good. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
I don't blame you, because it's getting serious now. OK, tomorrow, sunny with showers, a risk of thunder, lightning, very, very frightening. And then early next week, sunny and warm. That is sunny and warm until the end of May, with rain in the southeast and more settled conditions to the northwest. More settled conditions to the northwest. So that's the end of this month. And then the first 2 weeks of June, summertime. 1st of June to the 15th. Rainfall likely to be a little above average, but also some spells of warm sunshine. Some spells of warm sunshine? We'll take it. Meanwhile, in Houston, in Texas, shocking videos show devastation brought about by swirling 100-mile-an-hour winds, blasting out high-rise windows and delivering untold damage to inner-city infrastructure, with power offline for some 900,000 people. Footage circulating online shows sheets of water flailing in the wind. Can sheets flail? Don't you need arms for that? Flailing in the wind were those sheets. Trees battered by the gale. Pedestrians in the city rendered unable to shield themselves from the deluge. Buildings are... there's nothing funny about this. Buildings are seen to have had entire walls stripped off them in these storms. One car crushed under the weight of bricks falling from a wall in the city. Streets flooded, trees and power lines drawn down across the region. Wind speeds 100 miles an hour with some twisters. And the mayor of Houston, called John, he said, stay at home tonight, do not go to work tomorrow unless you are an essential worker. Stay home, take care of your children. All of which is richly ironic, this being Houston in Texas, the town that is called the energy capital of the world. Houston is the headquarters and intellectual capital for virtually every segment of the energy industry, including, but not limited to, exploration, production, transmission, marketing, supply and technology. Houston employs nearly a third of the nation's jobs in oil and gas extraction in America. And now they're getting 100-mile-an-hour storms, floods and massive damages, which scientists have been telling us is the consequence of the very thing they specialise in, fossil fuel extraction. I suppose if it's good... how can I hear you through 4 panes of glass? Can you hear him? How is that possible? I mean, you know me, I never complain.
Stop whining.
But how is it possible to hear somebody through 4 panes of glass? Anyway, I suppose if it's going to happen anywhere, then Houston is a good place to start. That is, of course, unless you don't believe in science, in which case your ignorance will protect you. You could use it as a flotation device when Noah doesn't let you on the boat. He's already got 2 humans. Maybe you could pass as an ape. Kay texts, you know how the Tories like to trash and make something sound bad before then going on to try and justify something, just so they can eventually get to the stage of privatising it or cutting it. If you are struggling to understand what I mean, no, Kay, I'm not. Just think of everything the Tories have done over the last 14 years, says Kay. Brexit, the UK economy, people's lives, public services, civil servants. I could go on, Nick, but I have to eat dinner later. Yeah, and I have only got a 3-hour show. Well, have you heard the latest thing in the Tory line of fire? Yup, national insurance, says Kay, with an exclamation mark, because that makes it important. Like she's shouting at me. Mickey, hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, Mickey. He says when Labour get in, they'll have no money due to 14 years of Tory backhandering to mates and then trousering the profits. The profits. Backhandering, always backhander first, trouser after. Because if you trouser first and then backhander, you'll be left with empty trousers. And nobody wants that. Craig says, I've started making a plan in case Fishy calls a snap election. I've drawn a 1-inch box on my map around my polling station so I can start from square one.
We have a plan. Or you just go back to square one.
Yes.
That's why it's so important we stick to this plan.
Stick to the plan.
Because we have a plan, we put that plan in place.
Yes.
Where there is absolutely no plan.
No plan.
Right, we have got a plan. That plan is working. If we stick with it, we can deliver a brighter future for the country.
Wow, that sounds super.
My message is plan, no plan.
Or go back to square one with the Labour Party. Yeah, can we do that right now? As in straight away? Craig says, I've started making plans in case... No, I just read that one. Way ahead of schedule. I've only just started and practically at the end. Rob says, the Minister for Common... the Minister for Common Sense. I don't know what else you need to know about this government, that they have an entire person called the Minister for Common Sense. Don't they select people to run departments that are already in possession of common sense. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Rather than to have a common sense overseer. Like Smug was chief in charge of trying to find something positive to say about Brexit. Any thoughts yet, Smug?
I don't know anything.
He doesn't know anything. Not a clue. Just look at that man's face. Does he look clueless to you? Here's his prediction about Brexit.
We could have cheaper food, clothing and footwear straight away by getting rid of the protectionist anti-trade tariffs that the EU imposes. And it would be very good for the British people, and it would provide certainty. And I think once there's certainty, the country will begin to reunite.
He's like, you know that blow-up furniture that rich people put by their pools? It's like somebody's poked a hole in it, and then the air is just escaping. How can anybody bear to listen to that? But I do wish him, all the best, and I hope he has a happy life. K texts. Is this the same K that I was speaking about some moments ago? Looks like the same letter of the alphabet. K texts, old Puppy Eyes and his missus saw their Puppy Eyes. You know, the bloke in charge of...
this government.
That guy. Old Puppy Eyes and his missus saw their wealth rise by £122 million last year.
What?
How did they manage that? They reckon to be worth more than His Majesty, according to the Sunday Times Rich List. I don't know who came up with that idea of the Sunday Times Rich List, but whoever they are, they're a raving genius, because to the week up to the publication of that list, that's all anybody's talking about. It's not news. They don't really even know. They're guessing. They didn't call up these people and ask for their bank records. They're just guesstimating. That's all. And for the king to be worth... what do they say? Wait a minute. One moment, please. Hang on to your hat. Are you wearing a hat? Nobody wears hats anymore, apart from baseball hats, which, oddly... I was talking to Carol McGiffin about this.
Oh, right, yeah.
We do a podcast, and I was saying that the baseball hat is the only hat that a person can wear without making a hat statement. It's just to keep the sun out your eyes. Or, if you are going bald, like a certain individual I won't mention right now...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
It's probably a good idea to put one on if you don't want people to know that. Mentioning no names.
The great big greedy nincompoop.
Rob says, the minute... I haven't finished it yet. Just got to past the first four words, and then I went off on one. Have you heard? Rob texts, the Minister for Common Sense has called for civil servants to wear standard-coloured lanyards. Finally, the solution to all of our problems. Standard-coloured lanyards. But, says Rob, where is Sir Keir Starmer on this? Not one mention of lanyards in his so-called big speech. You can't trust Labour. The Minister for Common Sense. I think this entire country has jumped the shark. If it wasn't for the screaming Mimi in America, this country would be the laughing stock of the world.
Oh, shut up!
This is LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Certainly, dear. It's about rainbows and unicorns. Unicorns have been shot for your convenience. Rainbows, on the other hand, have been banned. Esther McVeigh has announced a ban on rainbow-coloured and other random lanyards in the civil service as part of a new war on woke.
Oh, fabulous.
Fishy Sunak's common sense minute. I mean, it's just laughable, which is why I'm laughing. Because otherwise I think I'd have to cry at this point. I mean, is this really all they've got after 14 years? After 14 years, this is where we find ourselves. The government flailing around trying to get you on their side by by shouting at rainbows and scones. Fishy Sunak's common sense minister has indicated a new set of measures related to the so-called culture wars, including ending contracts with organisations like Stonewall. While she did not specifically mention rainbow lanyards, the preferred colourway used by those supporting LGBT plus issues. And I have to repeat, by the way, that if I was a plus person, I'd be outraged. What, I don't get a letter? You just sort of dismiss me with a wave? Oh, you lot, you can all just be plus. We can't be bothered with any more letters. We'll do LGBTQ at most, and then we'll just throw the rest of you away as though you don't exist. Offensive. Anyway, this is The Independent, who I would assume are, totally on board and, with it, as far as these issues are concerned. Those the preferred colourway, rainbow lanyards, for those supporting LGBT plus issues. I thought it was about the NHS. Oh, read on, stupid. Or the NHS. And this has annoyed many Tory MPs, as the NHS itself does. Its very existence annoys many Tory MPs. And it has, they say, become symbolic of a left-wing bias in the civil service. It's just that there are people in the civil service who think, like the rest of us, that this is not the right way that this country should be going. It doesn't mean that they have a left-wing bias. They have a common sense bias. Why can I hear you? Through 4 panes of glass. It's amazing. How can I fix this without getting up and walking around this, my broom cupboard? I don't think I can. Anyway, leave it with me. I'm a trained professional and I will work through it. Esther McVey, the Minister for Common Sense, told an audience with the Tory Centre for Policy Studies, I want a very simple but visible change to occur in lanyards we use to carry our security passes, which shouldn't be a random pick and mix. There should be a standard design reflecting that we're all members of the government, delivering for citizens of the UK. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? What a revolutionary concept, a government delivering for citizens of the UK. They should try that. They've tried everything else. In a speech, Esther McVey made it clear that it's like trying to do a show in a railway station. Can you keep it down to a roar? In a speech, Mrs. McVey made it clear that the government is going to war with backdoor politicisation. I cannot believe that this is where we are as a country now. I mean, this is beyond a joke. It's actually not funny. It is funny, but if it wasn't real life, it would be amusing. Sadly, it is real life. We're living through this personally. Can you believe that? Why is this this kind of thing always happening to me?
Whinging and whining and moaning.
Chris says, I thought I was drinking a thick chocolate milkshake earlier, and then I remember... Yeah, all right, I'll talk about this later. I thought I was drinking... You know what? This is just too annoying. I'm going to have to turn it down. Hang on a minute. I don't know why you're up. I just don't. But I have to take my headphones off, so now I can't hear anything at all. But why is there so much noise coming from next door? Turn everything down, deeper and down, like status quo. Right. That should shut her up. And we're back with sound. Chris says, I thought I was drinking a thick chocolate milkshake earlier, and then I remembered I was in Devon having poured a glass of tap water. Did you see that? There was a picture of a glass of tap water poured in Devon, and it was brown.
Disgusting.
Now, I can tolerate most colours of water, but not brown.
No.
I'd have to say that is pretty much the only colour of water that I would absolutely, totally and completely flat out refuse to drink. I'd drink rainbow water rather than brown. Who's with me? I bet even the Minister for Common Sense would agree with that. Joking aside, says Chris, as long as we continue to let reprehensible shareholders run roughshod over us without any accountability, i.e. jail time, they will continue to do what they do. We need to be more French. They will riot if something might happen to them in the future. Brits only tut when it happens to us in the present. We ask for all we get. And just look at the state of this country for proof, says Chris, who is completely correct in every respect. Lingfield, Genevieve. Is that your real name?
Yes, it
is. It? How marvellous to be called the Genevieve.
Most people just say Genevieve.
Oh.
But thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, my burning question is, how have you got so many buttons in front of you that you can just lay your fingers on the right noise? I've listened for years.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's it. Tonight, I can't believe no one else has asked this question.
You're asking You're asking me the question, and I'm thinking, no idea. It's like a magic trick. I just think it, and it appears on the air as though by some feat of I had doubts when I launched into that word. I thought, am I going to even get halfway without screwing it up? And apparently not. Prestidigitation. There it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but you did the right noise. But maybe were you thinking too much about the button at that point?
No. No. Sometimes I work up to a button just in order to play that sound, but at other points it's just an adjunct.
Do you know, as a rather big listener, fan, let's say...
How big are you?
Oh, God, that's really rude.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 5. 3.
Definite 2.
You're a 2. Right.
Do I sound like a 3?
There's absolutely no way of knowing just by the way that somebody sounds. Because if you listen to somebody on the radio and you don't know what they look like, you probably get an image of them looking quite good, right? Because people on the radio have quite nice voices and they go through a lot of expensive equipment to make them sound even nicer.
Yeah.
But having been in this business for a very long time, I can tell you that is absolutely not true. People on the radio are on the radio for a very good reason, and it's mostly to do with looks.
Okay, well, still, this is great, and thanks for all that info. But how are you getting to these buttons so quickly? I don't get it. I don't get what's in front of you.
Genevieve,
what's in front of you?
If I told you, I'm afraid I would have to kill you.
Yes, but that would be great, actually, because then we'd have to meet.
No, not necessarily. I could take you out from a distance.
Oh, sniper style. Oh, lovely. Well, that's been really educational. Thank you.
Well, I live to serve. Thanks, Genevieve. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Ahmed texts, after 14 years of Tory rule, it's got so bad they've now got us drinking our own poo. Oh, please. Well, at least it's not anybody... It's actually worse than that, Ahmed. It's not our own poo. It's somebody else's.
Disgusting.
You believe that? But the country can put their worries to one side as the Water Minister, Robbie Moore, assured us that bottled water is safe and the boss of the latest water company at fault is truly sorry. Very, very apologetic.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. Totally I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I am sorry.
I mean, I would say that the Prime Minister should get a grip on it, but I do believe he's done that already.
I am totally 100% on it.
He's 100% on it. Not 110%, which is, the minimum that I would expect, but he's only giving it 100%. He's working night and day on this issue. Don't you worry about a thing. Oh, look, it's a person in Harrow called Jonathan. Harrow. Oh, you know what?
Nick?
Hey, I'm going to put you back on hold.
Okay.
Because I've just seen what time it is, and I think I'll probably need more than 2 minutes. All right. Another satisfied customer. Carol with an E, not Carol with no E.
Oh, right, yeah.
Carol texts, rather than hold a daily campaign rally in the court corridors ranting like a madman, if Trump has so much to say, why is he so afraid of testifying on oath?
Don't be rude.
That's very, very rude. Very rude person. He might not be afraid of testifying on oath because, he thinks that he's an honest person.
I'm a person that wants to tell the truth. I'm an honest person.
And as for words...
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words.
So he might not be afraid of testifying on oath, but ask his lawyers and they'll scream the place down, just at the very idea. because the man is completely, he's just unhinged. He's like a 5-year-old. Have you seen some of the things that he's coming out with at his rallies lately? Praising Hannibal Lecter. The late, great Hannibal Lecter, he said. In a room of thousands of people. And he just sort of drones on, his mind flitting from one subject to the next. And he was going on about the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Great guy, fantastic. As though, A, he's a real person, and B, he's somebody to praise. But I think that there's a certain element in Merca that is keen to see him be the president again.
I love the poorly educated.
In a nutshell, that's his demographic right there. The poorly educated. Which he said that phrase to a room full of poorly educated people. I love the poorly educated, he said. And the poorly educated people in front of him whooped and cheered like he'd given them a compliment. Morons. We're surrounded by morons. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @lbc. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all the rest of this week. Extra shows for good behaviour. It's Nick Abbott on LBC, 10:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
0345 6060 973. Back at Harrow with Jonathan. Harrow.
Yeah, hello, Nick. Hi.
Yes, Jonathan.
Good evening.
You seem out of breath.
What?
You seem out of breath.
Because I'm drinking Coca-Cola, because I have insomnia.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense.
No, because I can't. I know it links to I had a couple of points, and I know I'm jovial with you usually.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is now, there's feces in the tap water.
The what?
There's feces in the tap water.
Feces? Feces in the tap water, yes.
Yeah. And ever since coming to this country in the early 90s, in the morning, I wash my face and eyes. Lots of people say it's an odd thing to do, but I put lots of water inside my eyes.
No. Inside your eyes?
Yeah, because but I also have obsessive tendencies, because when I'm visiting the India, like Kolkata, Rajasthan, these sorts of places, immediately when I go there, I told you I'm struggling financially. I haven't been there since, I haven't had a holiday since November.
Last November? This is you complaining that you haven't had a holiday since last November. Right, go on.
No, but listen, it's a serious point, because when I'm in India and
yes.
I have what's the politically correct term for servant?
Minimum wage contractor.
Yeah, one of those. I usually tell them to get about 60 bottles of, say, like Bisleri. Have you heard of Bisleri, mineral water?
No, I have not, no.
Because in India, the water is dirty. So so I wash my eyes and my, drinking water from the bottled water.
Mm-hmm. And your face. Don't forget your beautiful face.
But for my when I'm closeless in the shower, even in India, I put it on hot and it's fine. But I'm genuinely getting a bit anxious, because apparently the water has got toilet in it now.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to get any of it on your shoes.
Yeah, but the point, hello?
Yes.
Yeah, but the point is now, look, you're going to be angry with me for a couple of things I want to say. Because I don't really understand you flip-flopping, because 1 week you are saying the Keir Starmer, he is lovely, we all love him very much.
Yes, and look at that hair. I mean, wow, so much product on his hair.
You don't need to put all of that product in your hair. You just don't.
That's a fact.
And then the next week you are saying that, and I agree with you on point 2, the next week you are saying he has let Natasha Elfing into the party. He is exactly the same between the two parties, you were saying.
I was saying that.
Yeah, last week, because last week I had the fat man back to break parts of my banister, so I had to go to sleep early. No, I was listening to you in bed.
You had the fat man over to break parts of your balcony. Well, that's just a normal thing for people to do.
And he said that his cousin, they're all landlords, and they each own 8 properties, and one recently had a knife fight over a Range Rover. They really are gangsters, the landlords in this country, but they're doing very well under this government that our help vote in.
That's right. Well, many of them are landlords themselves.
But the point I was trying to make is Keir Starmer. I know on LBC you all love him very much.
Yes.
But are you okay now agreeing with me that he is not, and I don't know if in walkie-talkie Britain I can say it, but are we okay to say that he's hardly going to romp home to like majority victory?
Oh, that's what you're... hello? Is that what you're asking me? That it's okay to say that? You can say it, but I don't think anybody believes it.
Well, you think he is going to radically change the world? I so miss Jeremy Corbyn. I do.
Well, I mean, I kind of miss him as well. I mean, he's still there, of course, still, representing his constituents, still doing an excellent job. They love him over there.
The fat chap from The Sun was on television, still going on about Jeremy Corbyn.
Which one? Which fat?
Harry...
Cole. One of those Harrys, yeah.
The editor. Mm-hmm. And he was still going on about Jeremy Corbyn. And the only ethnic minority in the Labour shadow cabinet, apart from your former very beautiful colleague David Lammy, is a little Indian girl, Lisa Nandi.
Right.
And she's always saying, we've root and branch changed Labour from Jeremy Corbyn, because apparently Jeremy Corbyn was like a militant Marxist cousin of Steptoe.
Militant Marxist cousin of Steptoe. That sounds about right, yeah.
But I feel bad when I'm walking around. I went for a kebab last night.
A what?
And a kebab.
Okay. Did they sell kebabs where you bought that?
Yeah, and there was people, I mean, it's so sad to see. There was drug addicts stealing a sofa. There was an old man.
Sofa.
Yeah, they were stealing one.
Right, because there wasn't anything smaller available. Right.
No, they were stealing one. And I told you, I'm quite obese, so I think when I wear a big duffel coat in the heat, they don't approach me. No. I'm not creepy, but I'm saying, I just walk on my way. And then there was an old man at the bus stop. He was like, this smell of cannabis, and he had cuts on his arms. He was bleeding. And now the question is, am I partly responsible for all of this? And the answer is no. Okay. So next point. No.
Well, I'm glad that we cleared that up, because that was the question that was preying on my mind. Are you personally responsible for all this? And came the answer, no. No, absolutely.
Because if Boris Johnson stood against Starmer, I'm being honest with you, you'll hate me for saying this. I probably would vote Starmer, but I would still dither on Boris, actually.
Well, yeah, he's dithering is his middle name.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, he loves a dither.
Can I make a final point on the Americans?
Oh, would you please, finally?
Now, listen, and again, you will hate me for this, but I know you used to love the Howard Stern.
Well, okay.
Have you met him or not?
No.
But you're a big DJ. You're a veteran music DJ.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a big DJ. I have DJ'd.
But, yeah, so I thought you'd meet him. But he did the interview with current American president, whose name I know I watch on the Twitter. People mock me. I have trouble pronouncing it, the old man as president.
What's his name?
And Biden, Joseph Biden.
Joe Biden, yeah.
Yeah. And can I just say that I literally almost, of course, he's better than Trump, because who isn't? But you are talking to, no, I'm saying he's better. But you were talking to one of your callers, and my God, I almost threw up in my mouth.
Well, better than throwing up in somebody else's mouth. I mean,
no, because you were saying, oh, Trump is this horrible, evil man, which he is. And then you were saying, oh, Biden, he's a sweet old man who is caring, and he's a creepy. He sniffs people, not allegedly. He does it on camera.
He does that.
And the world is on fire. He's too old. It's the ego of this. Shut up. You have to hit back. Sorry. The world is on fire, and these old people, it's the ego.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And then something really bizarre happened. What was that?
It's the usual
Oh, people next door
They're-
trying to get you to keep it down. Keep that racket down over there. Yeah, right.
Their doggy almost bite me.
Well, the only part of that sentence that is disappointing is the word almost.
No, but can I end by saying that do you honestly think Biden is doing? I know you lefties and the wokey, not the anti. We have an anti-wokey minister, the Ishta McVeigh.
Yes, yeah, we do.
That was actually her title, the anti-wokey minister. You honestly think, I don't want to butt heads with you before I hang up, but you honestly think the 88-year-old sniffer-in-chief, you think he's doing good job on the world stage? He's a mental, no offense.
Well, nobody could be more presidential than his predecessor.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
Jonathan, I've got to go because I just have to go. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Carol, Alex says, to try to win an election that may never happen, Robo Rishi and Jeremy Dangerous Name have teamed up as some kind of evil Batman and Robin act to scare the public into voting for him. Yeah, that's right. It's just so bizarre. He's tried pretty much everything else. And now he's kidding on like, if we don't vote for him next time, we're all going to die. Amazing. I mean, I wait with bated breath as to what might happen next. I'm sitting here in anticipation. Let's have a call in Cheshire. Hello, John.
I don't know where to start after that.
Start at the very beginning, John. It's a very good place to start.
I was listening to the news this morning on Sky, and you were interviewing this woman from where you got the infected water in that area.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And a child been infected and all that.
Yeah.
And it's been about 5 days, hasn't it?
An unbelievable amount of time, really, for brown water to be coming out of people's taps.
And the interviewer said, how do you think the authority have handled this? She said, not very well, really.
Not very well, really, yeah. Understatement of the millennium.
Get your mates together, get round to the head office and pack yourselves out the front like the French would do.
Exactly, yes. If this was happening in France, farmers would be spraying the headquarters of that water company with manure.
Yeah. And the other one is that we've been watching the riots in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
And the Georgia's got a cross, a flag very similar to the cross of St. George. England,
does it?
The England flag, yeah, with a couple of crosses in the corners.
Oh, right.
And they want to join the European Union, and they're on the verge of joining the European Union. Their government trying to bring in a pro-Russian law, and we left the European Union, and they're desperate to get into it.
Yeah, well, having seen the catastrophe that has unfolded since we left the EU, there isn't a single solitary country in the EU that would even contemplate such a stupid move. Why would they? We're the only country in the world that has ever made it more difficult to trade with our nearest trading partner. We're also, by the way, the only country in the world that sold off all our water.
Which is very well... Well, it was contaminated in Cumbria too.
Yeah, they should put that on they should put that on the bills. That should be the new company slogan: "Contaminated in Cumbria." John, got to go. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Okie dokie.
0345 6060 973. Craig says, I have just woken up from a coma after 14 years. Thank heavens we've got a schoolboy as a Prime Minister to sort out all of the problems that Labour have caused while they were in office. Let's have roads in Greece. Seema.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
I am great, mate. How's Greece?
It's lovely. It was kind of cloudy today, but it's getting hot. It's hot. It's like 28, 29 degrees.
Well, we don't wish to know that.
Well, I'm coming home tomorrow, but that's not why I'm calling.
Right.
I'm calling about fecal flora.
Fecal flora cloudburst, yes.
That's the thing, yes. So I actually tried to send you a text message with the picture of what I saw in the ladies' room earlier today above the lavatory. And it said, no, wait for it. It said, beware of spreading germs.
Yeah.
Make sure that you close the lid.
The lid, yes.
Before you flush the toilet.
Correct.
Fecal flora.
Is that what it said? Fecal
No,
flora? What's Greek? What's Greek?
No. It didn't say fecal flora. It said
right.
don't spread germs.
Don't spread
but
germs.
When I read it, I thought fecal flora, and I thought Nick needs to know this.
Fecal flora cloudburst. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you.
There's a picture of it.
Oh.
There was a picture of a cloudburst.
Really?
And you know, like when the coronavirus came out, and we said that we're going to put all of the we're going to put all of the
yes.
You know those pictures that came out, the guy with the little crown on his head and all of that stuff. That's
stamps.
what they've got here.
Stamps. Is that what you're talking about? Stamps. A little picture with a bloke with a crown on his head. Stamps.
No. The germs. Nick, stick with the program, mate. The fecal flora and the pictures of all of the guys.
Because if it's a corona, therefore crown.
Exactly. So anyhow, this is the thing. I tried to text it to you, but it wouldn't go through because I'm in Greece right now.
Thank goodness.
But I had to call you and tell you about fecal flora. Right. It's reached here in Greece, and they're telling you to put the lid down before you flush the toilet so that you don't spread germs.
Excellent advice from... you should listen to Greek people, Seema. I would seek one...
I might stay here.
Yeah.
I might stay here, actually.
That would be my best advice. Anywhere would be better than here for at least the next, shall we say, year?
But Nick, quick question. Did you get the dancing Christmas tree that I sent you?
Yes. I do believe I got a dancing Christmas tree, yes.
Okay, good. Put batteries in it. It's great for the whole year round.
Well, I'm not sure that's accurate, but it might work for the whole year round, but I'm not sure it's great for or appropriate for the whole year. But I might get it out in July just to have a quick peek. How does that sound?
That sounds brilliant.
Well, I appreciate it, Seema.
Thank you.
Thank you for your cooperation. 0345 6060 973. Kath texts, what do you think of King Charles' new portrait? I actually kind of like it. I was tickled by a comment on the Express website that said the portrait looks like Extinction Rebellion may have already gotten to it. I've been distracted this week because there's work going on where I live, but I haven't seen it, so I'll look it up during the news. I'll look it up right now. Picture Charles. Well, I'll have to. Oh, that must be it. It does. It does look like. It does look like Extinction Rebellion have already got to it. And what is that over his? Oh, it's a butterfly over his shoulder. Because I must admit, at first glance, I thought, oh, it's a picture of the devil. Because it's all in smudgy red. And the butterfly looks like the end, the sort of arrow point end on a devil's tail. That's alarming. Is the artist trying to tell us something? It's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if I was him I'd be very happy, but, as he's a member of the royal family, there'll be another portrait presented to him probably within the hour. They have portraits made of them like most people take selfies. There's always another one. Who pays for it, by the way? Because somebody must pay for them. I mean, Jonathan Yeo, he ain't no slouch. I bet he costs... I'll just take a wild stab in the dark for... it depends on how big the portrait is, really, but I would imagine... 150,000? More? I mean, if it's the size of a postage stamp, then they're considerably less. But if it's, full size... Oh, there it is. It's bigger than full size. So should we say 300,000? £300,000. And who picked up the tab for that? Probably us poor dopes who pay taxes, wasn't it? I don't know that that's true, but even if it isn't, it doesn't prevent it from being a fact. Let's have Merthyr Tydfil. Jeff.
Hey, Nick. How are you doing, buddy?
Good, thanks.
Just to keep you in the picture,
yes.
Happening down here, you always like to keep yourself in the picture, because it isn't reported anywhere up your neck of the woods.
No.
The new, the guy that replaced Mark Drakeford, called Vaughan Gethin.
Yes.
He's got himself into a fair bit of trouble.
Oh, no. What now?
Well, they're pretty good at it. Well, he got into a load of trouble. I told you last time he took a £200,000 gift off some guy with a big question mark over him.
Some guy who he met at a bus stop. He said, "Psst."
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, apparently these things are coming out now. 30 grand is left over from the election campaign, which it was donated for. That's gone to the Labour Party, so there's a big question mark on that one. And we've moved on from there because today, or yesterday, he sacked his deputy for Deputy Labour in the Senate for leaking information about a Wi-Fi. It's very complicated, but anyway,
leaking information about a Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi WhatsApp messaging. Okay.
Wi-Fi WhatsApp messaging. Okay.
Yeah, one of them. And anyway, he accused her of leaking this, and she said, "No, I didn't." And she's come out since she's been sacked. Yeah. And said, "No, I'm innocent."
Right.
So there's furor going on. About 4 o'clock this afternoon, the Plaid Cymru, which is working in cooperation with the Labour Party to bring things like free school meals and stuff like that.
Yeah, happiness.
The Labour Party have denied that the Plaid had anything to do with it, but they made a deal, get the budget through, give the kids free school meals, which is dead against what Starmer is saying. See, there's a problem there.
What, Keir Starmer doesn't want children to eat?
Well, apparently not. He's gone against the idea of free school meals, and he's given orders to the Labour Party in Wales to follow that rule. But Plaid have forced them into doing it, or they wouldn't pass the budget.
Right.
So the long and the short of all this is, I know it's a long story.
Yeah, but there ain't no shorts to this. The long of it is, yes,
that he's in serious trouble. He could be facing a vote of no confidence.
Oh, for crying out loud. Barely had his knees under the desk for 10 minutes. Exactly.
So the end result that we are looking at is a right mess. And guess who's making the apoplectic slaphead who's running Conservatives down here? They don't have to do anything. They're just watching the Labour Party do all this. Just to keep
and the other way around in the rest of the country. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, just to put you in the picture.
Have they taken down those 20-mile-an-hour signs from everywhere yet?
And the apoplectic slaphead and his second-in-commands there are still on about it.
Right.
It's a dreadful thing.
Oh, come on. It's fine. Just get used to it, that's all. I'll tell you what I do. I just put my car in cruise mode, hit 20. I mean, I don't recommend you do this during the day, but at night, when there's nobody else on the road, just hit 20, put your car in cruise mode, and then you can relax. And there isn't that tension of constantly looking at your speedo to see how fast you're going.
And roll on proportional representation.
Right.
That's all I can say to you.
OK, well, it sounds like you said a lot. Thanks, Jeff. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. John texts, weather forecasts are rarely correct. Looking out the window would be better than listening to the Met Office. Yeah, but that's no good if you want to know what's going to be happening in, like 4 weeks' time. Now, I know that what they say is going to happen in 4 weeks' time isn't necessarily what will happen in 4 weeks' time, but it gives some kind of indication, just a little bit. I mean, it'll get slightly warmer, and there'll be rain here and there, and windy occasionally. Is that sufficient information?
No.
It'll have to do for now.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
It's a radio show, dear. Chris says, have you seen the video of an 8-year-old girl from Lancashire that was outraged at the price of 2 screwball ice creams for £9 and the ice cream man only took cards? And it was so funny to see her outraged that the video has gone viral. Yeah, she said, £9 for 2 ice creams with chewing gum in them. Did I hear that right? 2 bits of chewing gum. Why would anybody want to put chewing gum in an ice cream? That just sounds absolutely awful. I mean, it's just totally the wrong mouthfeel. How can you eat ice cream and chew gum at the same time? And walk? £9. And it's not even ice cream. It's that foam, goopy stuff that comes out of a machine, I would imagine. I mean, it's not like Italian style, got tubs of homemade ice cream there. He just pulls the lever and out it comes. And it just stays in the shape that it comes out forever. You could put it down on a table and come back in 10 years and it would still be holding the same shape. That's not ice cream. I don't even know what it is. It's like white chemical foam product. What's in that stuff? Has anybody ever seen the ingredients? I bet you haven't. £9?
What?
Yeah, get used to it, little girl. It's the cost of living crisis. Where have you been? Grow up. A very, very potty-mouthed little girl as well. I thought it was awful.
Disgusting.
I mean, I blame the parents, most specifically. Lee texts, there's going to be 2 presidential debates and Biden has insisted that he wants a mute button in place, just on the off chance that Donny slips into full incoherent dingaling stadium rambling mode. Yeah, for his dingalings. He loves that stuff. He says, surely we have the technology now that this can be attached to Donny on a permanent basis. On a permanent basis.
Oh, shut up!
That's a good idea. Yeah. And every time he slips into incoherent rambling mode, a giant electric shock surges through his enormous frame. He was going on and on about how svelte he is. And how the fake mainstream media was printing pictures of him looking fat while hitting a golf ball. Well, you are fat when you hit a golf ball. And you're also fat when you don't hit a golf ball. Own it, Donny. I mean, as the world, it's as though somebody has, some intergalactic being, like an invisible space wizard, has taken the world and shaken it up like one of them snow globes. We've got a minister for common sense in this country, which makes no sense. And the next president of the United States of America might be this guy.
I can be more presidential than anybody.
Keeps bragging about how he passed a test to ensure that he hasn't completely lost his mind.
And it was 30 or 35 questions. The first questions are very easy. The last questions are much more difficult. Like a memory question, it's like you'll go person, woman, man, camera, TV. So they say, could you repeat that? So I said, yeah. So it's woman, camera, TV. Okay, that's very good. If you get it in order, you get extra points. Okay, now he's asking you other questions, and then 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, Remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Give us that again. Can you do that again? And you go, woman, man, person, man, camera, TV. If you get it in order, you get extra points. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy. And that's not an easy question. In other words, they ask it to you, they give you 5 names and you have to repeat them, and that's okay. If you repeat them out of order, it's okay, but you know, it's not as good. But then when you go back about 20, 25 minutes later and they say, go back to that question, they don't tell you this, go back to that question and repeat them. Can you do it? And you go, camera, man, person, woman, TV. They say, that's amazing. How did you do that? I do it because I have like a good memory, because I'm cognitively there.
He's cognitively there. He gets extra points because he got it in order.
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Extra points for getting it in order.
People are laughing at us all over the world. They think we're stupid.
Yeah, can you imagine that? He used to be the most powerful man in the world. We're lucky to be alive. 0345 6060 973. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Nick. Yeah, I'm glad you played those clips just before I came on. Because, the Trump thing.
Yeah.
What he was saying there, a lot of that particular thing, there was a thread to it. You could sort of follow it through. Most of his speeches, you could follow a thread. It was horrible. It was fake news. It was appalling. But there was a thread. Have you seen his rally speech this week?
It defies belief, really. I mean, the man has completely lost his mind. Was that the one where he was talking about the
district attorney and Springsteen bad, Hannibal Lecter good?
The Hannibal Lecter outburst. Yeah, the late great Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, and the Silence of the Lamb. And, do you remember at the end where he invited his friend round for dinner, the great Hannibal? He's all over the place.
He really is. Yeah, it's like word salad. It's as though somebody's taken a Scrabble letters and put them in a cocktail shaker.
It is, and a couple of my elderly relatives went from Biden to cabbage in about 3 months, and he's about a third of the way down this when you look at what's actually happening to him. It's not funny. I mean, well, in a way, it's you can laugh at it.
No, you can't. He may be the world's most powerful person again, and this time around, he's not going to make any of the mistakes that he did last time by actually having a few competent and say it softly, moral people surrounding him. They're all going to be Donny Dinglings.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you look at this, the latest rally that he did. Even the dinglings, when he was talking, they were looking at each other like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Where the placards?
They were making for the exit, yes.
It's quite mad, but anyway, that isn't why I rang up. The thing is, you put the clips on.
Yeah. In short...
Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, maybe.
Something like that. But did you notice this week, Kemi Badenoch playing an absolute blinder? Possibilities we're going to sell another bit of our crown jewels to a foreigner, Royal Mail. And she said, I'm going to review this and I'm going to block it unless he promises to behave nicely. Well, what the hell does that mean? I presume we got those promises when we sold the rail and the water and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Going to behave nicely. Did she actually say that?
She said, yes, he's going to behave, treat our workers properly and respect our daily 6 days service and treat it with respect and all these things that the guy's going to do. The guy's going to buy something and then work along the lines that she's prescribed.
Of course he isn't.
With his business investment, of course he's not. This is a joke.
I mean, you just have to look at how everything else that they've sold off has gone. Everything else... Look at how everything else that the Tories have sold off has gone, but particularly the water companies, which I'll deal with shortly. But absolutely everything else has been a total catastrophe for the people of this country. But happily, a few people have made a lot of money. Huge.
Yeah, but then what I came to like this week, I didn't realise that Heathrow and Gatwick and whatever were owned by British Aviation Authority or whatever, and I thought, oh yeah, that's British, that's fine. And then it came up this week that in fact Qatar and Canada own Heathrow and Gatwick and 4 other regional airports.
I would challenge you to name anything that... I challenge you to name anything that you ordinarily would think is British that is actually owned by a British person. I double dare you. Go ahead, Mike. Try it. You can't. No, this country has got a for sale sign up.
I mean, the only thing that I would happily see sold off is the royal family, and I don't want to keep in Britain. They can take them and take them away, but not our airports and our transport system. No. And I mean, we'll discover at some point that Birmingham City Council is now owned by Quebec or something. I mean, it's really serious.
Owned by Quebec? Why, did Qatar sell it?
Yeah, probably something like that. But I'm amazed at how little we own.
Yes, it is extraordary. We're the only country in the world that has sold off all of our water. I suspect that we will become the only country in the world that sold off all of our mail service, and we keep doing this. Well, no, it's not us at all. We are responsible for voting in the people that keep doing this, but it has always been less than 50% of the people have voted for the Conservative Party. It's just that the left does their special trick of fighting amongst themselves, splitting the vote, and the Tories just to step over their prone fighting form and take the tape. So they've been able to get away with doing this, but it's actually on us for allowing them to do it over and over again.
We must vote better, but one little piece of advice before I go.
Yeah.
Whatever you do not Google an image of Cryptosporidium. If you think baby pigeons are ugly, this thing is appalling, and you can actually see the little bit that it hooked into to make you ill. Go there.
All right, I won't. Thanks for the good advice. Cheers, Mike. Here's that story. In South Devon, if you pour a glass of water today, you're in for a big surprise. And a trip to the hospital, which will probably be closed for your convenience. In South Devon, there's a street where more than half the residents fell ill after drinking tap water, infected with a waterborne parasite, which is perfectly normal in a well-run country. Despite several residents complaining to South West Water almost 2 weeks ago that their tap water had developed an unpleasant taste and was causing sickness, stomach pain and diarrhoea, they were repeatedly told it was safe to drink. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. No, I'd like to report that my tap water is coming out brown. It doesn't taste very nice and is causing sickness, stomach pain and diarrhoea. And the person on the end of the phone says...
No.
No, it's all in your imagination. So let's just review the facts. People said their drinking water tasted funny and that people were getting sick, but they were told that it can't be the water, which is totally safe to drink, but it was the water and it wasn't safe to drink. I mean, you wouldn't even want any of it on your shoes. Tory Totnes MP Anthony Mangnall announced the source of the outbreak was a damaged air valve, which may have allowed animal waste or contaminated groundwater to enter the local supply. This is the same Totnes Tory MP, Anthony Mangnall, who wrote the following in an organ called Torbay Today, just last month. He said, unfortunately, general elections bring a slew of campaign literature that frequently confuses fiction as fact. Just recently, the Liberal Democrats decided to spend huge amounts of money claiming that I and other Conservative MPs had voted to weaken the rules governing water companies. Nothing could be further from the truth. Over the last 4 years, we have systematically voted to strengthen the laws controlling water companies to ensure that we now have the toughest system in the world. Well, OK, drink up then, Tory Totnes MP Anthony Mangnall, if you're that confident. Have a pint of the water coming out of the taps around your way. I double dare you. And, of course, the water company chief executive officer wasted no time in issuing a PR release that said...
I am very sorry that I screwed up totally screwed. I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
South West Water CEO Susan Davey did not say that. She actually said the firm had fallen significantly short of customer expectations. You know what? I doubt that. I would expect that the firm has actually met customer expectations. Ungrateful residents on the street criticised water bosses for being slow to update them on issues with the water. Well, you know, they were probably too busy concocting a letter of regret. They couldn't find space on their desks to write it because it was completely covered in money. And after days of insisting the water was safe to drink, yesterday, Radicum Close and other neighbouring streets had letters posted through their doors warning them to boil tap water before drinking it, which is good advice unless you wish to become violently ill for a month.
What?
A month. But, you know, let's not get carried away. South West Water has an otherwise unblemished reputation for delivering the highest standards of water provision and sewage management. Apart from the spilling of sewage for over 500,000 hours last year, after 58,249 overflow incidents, and apart from one woman suing South West Water over sewage discharged into the sea, which she claims have harmed her health and stopped her daily swims. Would you want to swim in that? Before New Year's Eve, a sewer burst in Exmouth, resulting in 240 tanker loads of sewage being driven from the town in East Devon each day by South West Water as the burst pipes were repaired. What happens to those tankers, by the way? I mean, after they've been driven around, filled with sewage, do they throw those tankers away, or do they repurpose them to carry something else? And what is that something else? I mean, do they carry sewage one day and fresh, delicious milk the next? I can't think of anything that they could put in there that would make me feel better. I mean, even fuel. You don't want to put that in your car. Imagine the smell. Talk about a noxious emission. So what do they put in the tankers that have been carting sewage around? Because they can't just earmark them for sewage delivery, because that's not really a big market, is it? So what do they do with the tankers after they've delivered the sewage? Do they give them a quick sluice and then fill them with orange juice? I mean, what? Curious minds are keen to find out. On Boxing Day in 2023, footage showed filthy water flooding onto a popular Cornish beach just hours after locals enjoyed a festive swim there. But hey, you know what? It's just sewage. What's the big deal? I love the smell of sewage in the morning. Smells like victory for the shareholders of the monopoly providers of life's most essential product. And to think that we are the only country in the world that has sold off to private enterprise all of our water. It's almost as though it's not such a very good idea. But don't be concerned about the boss of the company responsible, though. No executive was inconvenienced as a result of their performance. The boss of Pennon, which owns South West Water, made £4 million since taking the top job in 2020. Susan Davey is her name. She took home more than £500,000 for her efforts running South West Water last year. Pennon, which supplies water to around 3.5 million lucky households in the southwest, has so far remained silent on whether Susan Davey will accept a bonus this year. Good grief, why are they even talking about it? Why is there even a suggestion that she might be offered one? Isn't £500,000 a year enough to entice a CEO to do their best? I mean, they have to be incentivised with the big money because 500 grand doesn't quite put a zip in their step. And the government talks about people idling on benefits. How about executives who feel the need to have a carrot of double their pay to actually do the job well that they're already getting a fortune for doing? Under a pay and bonus plan, Susan Davey, the head of the water company, has no trouble pouring sewage straight into rivers, but does have a problem in providing tap water that's actually, drinkable. She could earn as much as £1,910,000 this year if she accepts the bonus reward. Davey took home £543,000 for the 2022-23 financial year after foregoing a bonus of £450,000, which would have made it £1 million for 1 year running that company. But she didn't. She forewent a bonus. That must have stung. How did she cope? Well, fortunately, a year earlier, she was handed £1.53 million, including a bonus of 968 grand. A bonus of £968,000. And her take-home for 2021, 1.93 million. For running a company that has been gifted a monopoly to provide something that people can't live without and will be prosecuted if they fail to pay for. All of us are in the wrong job. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Cornwall. Hello, Malcolm.
Evening, Nick. How are you, sir?
All right, thanks.
Oh, was my more controlling to this time. Several interesting points this week. The boy from Merthyr, Jeff, comes on every week with stories of Wales, but he's never told you anything about Merthyr. And within Wales, Merthyr was known for two things. Mm-hmm. It was the Penskinner, like it was called the Bird Garden. It was like a little bit of an animal place, like a mini zoo, which most people in Wales visited because it's the only zoo in Wales. And then the other, which I think is very famous, was the Hoover Building in Merthyr. I don't know whether you've ever seen photographs of it. It was an Art Deco building.
Oh.
I loved it.
Well, there's an Art Deco Hoover building, or at least there certainly used to be out in the Westway, as you head west out of London. And I believe that became flats.
Something, is it?
It became flats, didn't it? Stop saying that.
Something, is it?
Stop saying that. I think it was the Hoover Building.
Really? But they were both done by the same architect, Gilbert and something or other. I forget.
Oh, right. Sullivan.
But the one you're on about in London, I think it's London, isn't it? Is a sort of Portland stone. It's grey. Whereas the one
it was white. I'm pretty sure it was painted white. Yeah.
All right, okay. Well, the Merthyr one was a brick building.
Right.
And obviously Art Deco was known for the bands of windows that run the whole length of elevations, facades, as it were. So, yeah.
Well, this is getting very, very technical, Malcolm. Did it look nice?
Yeah. It's beautiful, but I loved it. I mean, we used to go over that way because we had relatives over that way anyway, but we would often go to the bird garden, the bird sanctuary, and obviously we pass the Hoover Building.
Isn't that a bit cruel to have a bird sanctuary? I mean, wouldn't birds prefer to not be in a sanctuary, as in prison, bird prison?
No, but when I say birds, I think they're like flamingos and other sort of exotic birds.
Well, that sounds like the most racist thing the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life. But flamingos are birds too, you know.
I might be making this up, or maybe I dreamt about it. Look, the tanker thing, just briefly. The ones from milk, they're in constant use every day. The same lorries, same routes, because the production of milk is constant, and therefore the volume of transport needed to move the milk is identical.
Remains the same.
Use it for nothing else.
Well, so how do you know? Do you have experience of trucking? You do. Okay. So what do they do with the trucks that have got sewage in them?
My father worked in a dairy many years ago. He was an engineer. So I do know a little bit about it. Yeah. And big job washing them and so on after every delivery.
Well, if the truck was carrying sewage, I think a quick wash is not really going to do it for me, Malcolm. I think you're going to have to set fire to that truck.
No, but again, the ones you're talking about, they're waste management tankers, and they are solely used again for the removal of waste. Okay, so yeah.
Oh, well, and dead bodies.
Absolutely.
Waste management, yeah.
And the other massive story, and you'll be up on this, and you'll have files for us later in the show, I know, is big coup in America this week. I think it was about Wednesday. Joe Biden, who allegedly had seen some polls with Trump leading slightly, decided to take the initiative, and he announced that he is keen and is inviting Trump to 2 debates.
Yes.
And said debates were organised, and one is going to be on CNN in, I think, July or August, and the other one is going to be in September, October on ABC.
Yeah.
And apparently, Trump jumped on social media and said, yeah, I'll do it, I'm in. Not realising the TV channels who are going to be running them. And secondly, it's away from the body in America, which is their formal electoral body, which for decades, from the 60s, organised the debates so that they could televise them, and it will be organised to reach as many people in America as possible. But they're saying that because it's CNN and ABC, 2 small privately owned
small
media companies.
Small?
Well,
CNN and ABC, small?
No, but the audiences they reach, Nick, compared to what this body would organise through bringing in all of the TV channels.
Oh, you mean put them on? Put them on all of the channels at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me! I mean, even Americans don't deserve that.
No, but this is, and I think this will hurt Trump a lot more than it will Biden, because Trump needs the publicity, because the only thing he's got going from his Fox News and their audience.
No, that's not true. No, it's completely untrue. Donald Trump does not need the publicity. Regardless of the news organisation and regardless of their stance on the issues, they put Donald Trump on more than they put adverts on. He is. That's the reason that he won the race the year that he actually won it, is because all of these news organisations gave him billions of dollars worth of free advertising. He didn't need to spend a penny.
No, but we could have a separate argument on that. That's not my main point. But my point about that small issue is that I think the loser will be Trump as opposed to Biden, because Biden is sitting in the White House and he's shown on TV every night. Trump isn't. And you're right, Trump can hop on social media and...
No, it's not social media. There's no TV station in America or the world that would prefer to put Joe Biden on than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is ratings. Even if you hate the man... What do you mean, no? Right. I am completely correct in every respect, Malcolm. I'm telling you, they would put him on in a heartbeat. All he'd have to do is call up their gallery, and they'll cancel whatever program is on at that moment and go live to Donald Trump. Speaking from his from the jailhouse, hopefully. Anyway, Malcolm, got to go. Very, very argumentative. Let's just agree that I'm right and put it to bed. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
Leading Britain's conversation. Nick Abbott. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Right, so what are we doing?
Given we are doing a radio show, but this is a good point to remind people that I do a podcast with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now, the episode this week is called Carol... what is it? It's Carol tolerates my ineffectualness. It isn't called that, but it's something along those lines. I should remember it because I wrote it. I wrote it just yesterday. It's Nick... Oh, I remember. Carol tolerates Nick's inadequacies.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we had a little, issue. And I do believe that among the things that we helped out was rules for house guests. That was one of the questions we had. Now, the idea is that the podcast is a problem-solving one. If you have a dilemma that you think we could have a bash at, then you must send it to the following address: Nick and Carol at global.com. That's NICKANDCAROL at global.com.
Yeah.
And it's available on an internet near you. Ask for it by name. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? Belsize Park. Hello, Judy.
Hello.
Judy.
Hello. I phoned for two different things, if I may. The first one is Esther McVeigh.
Yeah.
I don't know much about politics and how it all works and everything. But she's the Minister for Common Sense.
Can you believe that?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm going to be polite. But what happens with the other side? I mean, do they have a minister who opposes her? Because, like, you have the Prime Minister, and then you have the Leader of the Opposition.
Yeah.
So who have they got in the Labour Party, for instance, that's the other side of her? And if there is another side opposing her, are they something like the Minister for Stupidity?
No, the government already have one of those.
Well, I mean, you can perm any three from four, but...
it just seems... I just cannot fathom what they're thinking, really. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. She is the Minister for Culture Wars, and she will point a spotlight at scones, which is what it was a little while ago. Of course, they shout at rainbows a lot. And now it's lanyards, for crying out loud. Is this really all they've got? They've been in power for 14 years, and this is what they're reduced to. Nitpicking about lanyards, for crying out loud. It's incredible. We got more people sleeping on the streets in this country than practically any other, well, not practically, than any other country in the first world. We got people who are going to bed hungry, they're starving to death. And they're dithering about the colours of people, of civil servants' lanyards.
Well, then, is it that they're quite clever and they're thinking we've got to divert people from the things that actually matter?
You think that's clever? You think they're being clever?
Well, we have been talking about it a lot.
Yeah, but not in their favour.
And we haven't been... No, but it's kept us off a lot of incredibly
the
important,
issues,
dreadful things that are happening.
That is true, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't get it, any of it.
No, you or me.
It's depressing, isn't it?
It is a little bit depressing, yeah. Apart from anything else, we pay these people the big money. I mean, I know to them it might not seem very much. I mean, to Boris Johnson, he thought that £250,000 a year was chicken feed. Ain't that right, Boris?
I can't comment on that.
Well, he can barely struggle by on that, I would think.
The thing... But wouldn't you expect that somebody who's being paid by the public the best part of 90 grand and £250,000 in expenses and all their meals and their booze and their rent, all of that, and their travel, all of that subsidised, on top of the 90 grand and the £250,000, don't you think that they would possess common sense, that they would choose somebody that actually has common sense built in? No, they need a whole new minister to police common sense.
But... It's. I mean, I was kind of phoning in a jokey way, but actually it is depressing and serious, isn't it?
How long must we put up with this?
Well, we're going to have an election sometime.
Are we?
Soon.
People keep saying that, but I will restate my case. I would not be, at this point, I would not be surprised if they cancelled the next general election for our safety.
So that would be when? Next year, then?
It would be never. Can I pencil you in for never, Judy?
Can they do that?
Ask yourself, can they do anything that they have managed to get away with so far? And the answer would be no until they did it and got away with it.
So all these things that, I mean, it really is very... I'm sorry, it's really depressing. I mean, all the things that we never envisaged...
No.
I mean, it didn't cross our minds, so we didn't really think about it.
And nobody made a law against any of these things. Like, nobody made a law that says you can't offer the public an app that doesn't work and then charge them £40 billion for it. Nobody actually wrote that down, but they went ahead and did it anyway.
Well, I don't use the mobile phone, which is why you can hear me, because I'm on a landline. I don't know what... I have no idea what that is.
Finally, we found one. Person using an actual real-life landline, and you're coming through clear as a bell.
Clear as a bell. May I quickly ask you the other thing, because you're so keen on voting?
Yes.
For the rest of the evening, I'd like you to ask everybody that calls in whether they would like to take a vote on whether we should be allowed to see you during your programme, because we can see Ian Dale and James O'Brien and Nick Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to tell me that you're in a studio because you're doing all the sound effects.
Yeah.
But you could put a camera in there.
Let me think about that.
No.
It's a no from me, Judy.
But can we have a vote?
No.
You're a great one for voting.
No, Judy, I am the decider. This is not a democracy, this show.
But you've always told us we must all vote.
You shouldn't listen to me. Nobody should listen to this show. Thanks a lot, Judy. Definitely not. No. Lee texts, there are going to be 2 US presidential debates and Biden has insisted that he wants them. Did I read this? I'm getting deja vu. Just on the off chance that Donny slips into a full incoherent dingling stadium rambling mode, Biden wants an off switch. Surely we have the technology now that this can be attached to Donny on a permanent basis.
Don't be rude.
Norman says, I never understood why a country that has so many hurricanes and tornadoes chooses to build their houses out of papier-mâché. Are you talking about America? And Helen says, got a university reunion in Glasgow next Friday. Any chance of a weather forecast? Absolutely. Precisely Friday, you say? Well, I did give a general indication. Next Friday. Oh, drizzle and a gentle breeze. 66 degrees. Which is exactly what you expected. Am I right? I would wear woolens and galoshes. You'd look fantastic in in a hoodie. You could turn it back to front, Helen. 0345 6060 973. Let's see now who's been waiting the longest. It looks like Letchworth. Hello, Martin.
Hi, Nick. I think a second term of Trump would really be a return to common sense. When you look at a lot of the sort of strange and quite deranged policies that the Democrats have pursued, like, defund the police, free speech restrictions...
Nobody's defunded the police.
Actually, that's not true. There are a number of... What?
It is true that no one has defunded the police. The police have not been defunded in America.
They have in New York, Minneapolis, Oakland, Los Angeles and Baltimore, to name but a few.
I think that you'll find that all of the above is incorrect information. You are talking fake news.
Well, no, it is correct. They've defunded their police department.
No, they haven't. They haven't defunded them. What they've done is they haven't allowed them to go and buy military equipment. They don't get to wander to drive around the streets in assault vehicles and the like. That's what Republicans say is defunding, but it's not defunding. They're not taking money away from them. They're just not giving them vast amounts of money so that they can become the army.
No, I have an article here by Keith Griffith, the journalist, who looked at the number of US...
journalist writing where?
He's writing for the Daily Mail, so he looks at the...
OK, I'll stop you right there. Thanks a lot, Martin. 0345 6060 973. Is that the same Daily Mail that gets that puts spelling mistakes in the headlines? Is it that Daily Mail? An unimpeachable source. Thanks a lot, Martin. Good luck and better luck next time. I would say good effort, but, not really. Rochester. Hello, Eddie.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I've rejected all the conspiracy theories I've ever heard completely.
Right.
However, if you drew some simple graphs of how fast now the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, then there would come a time when you could easily imagine that there's going to be some kind of communist revolution or equivalent in this country.
Well, if we were speaking in France, Eddie, then my money would be on exactly that. But as we're speaking in Britain, I think what's more appropriate would probably be a shrug of the shoulders and say, mustn't grumble and carry on as before.
Yes, And that will go on for years.
Ever.
But eventually, at some point on those graphs, when so many people are starving and so tiny a percentage of the population are now paying themselves billions.
Yes.
I mean, I just don't see that. You could almost imagine, and this is just imagination, that there's agents provocateurs in the Tory party purposely pushing us over many years further and further to become left-wing. Now, I'm not left-wing, but I feel a pressure, and it's coming actually from the so-called Conservatives.
Right. Well, you're left-wing.
More left-wing.
You're left-wing compared to them, which doesn't make you left-wing.
Yes, exactly. The only safe place to be is as near as the centre as you can get.
Yeah, well, that's where most people are.
Too right-wing or too left-wing,
big trouble.
Then it's dangerous and it's bad governance.
Yes, exactly right.
Yes.
But you are quite correct. The rich are getting more fabulously rich by the minute, and the poor are getting ever poorer. You know, us poor dopes.
The head of Tesco's.
Us poor dopes who pay taxes.
The little people. But it ain't like you think. It ain't leprechauns, don't you see?
How many?
It's little men from Mars or somewhere. And it ain't a toadstool there under. It's a spaceship.
It's a spaceship, Eddie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my initials are E.T.
Are they really? Okay,
yes.
Well, I'll keep that under advisement, like they say in America. I have no idea what that means, but I'll just say it anyway. Here's a list of the countries that have more homeless people than we do. 0. Here's a list of countries that have fewer homeless people than we do. All of them. This is a brief list of the homelessness problem in the developed world. The rate of homelessness per 10,000 people, as in the end of last year. And it goes, Finland has virtually no homeless people whatsoever. That is because Finland addressed the issue. And they had a policy called Roof First or Home First, something like that. They took homeless people off the streets and they gave them a place to live. What a revolutionary concept. And they made their lives better. They put their lives back together again, and from that stable base, they then found that they could, rejoin society and work and do the right thing. You know, all that phrase that the Tories keep coming out with. They did the right thing by doing the right thing. They worked hard and they did the right thing, and all that stuff they come out with. All the happy people are down at the bottom of this list. And at the bottom is the fewest number of homeless people. Finland, almost none at all. Followed by, the usual suspects, Norway, Sweden, Denmark. In amongst them, Portugal and Spain. And then Canada, and Australia, and New Zealand, and the US. And then Germany, and Czechia, and France, and Belgium. And right at the top, the worst of the worst, us. And while King Charles' personal wealth has jumped by £10 million to £610 million in the past year alone, his subjects have got absolutely no idea where the next meal is coming from, and whatever and wherever it is, it was probably going to get wet because they ain't got nowhere to live. But apart from that, it's a very, very well-run country. Good grief, I can't believe it. I mean, it is good for your mood to just tune out every now and again. I mean, it probably doesn't help in the long run, but it might help you in the short run. I recommend that you tune out every now and again. Put on some music.
Rock and roll!
Put on a podcast. I do a podcast. I do 3, actually. One's from the Friday and Saturday night shows on the radio, right here. We put these out as a podcast. It's on Global Player. If you've got one of them stupid smart speakers, it's called Play Nick Abbott, the Whole Show Podcast. Another one's called the Nick Abbott Habit, which is 30 minutes of concentrated amusement. Comes out on a Monday. Clips of old shows. None of which have any of the problems that we're talking about today. So if you want to put your mind in neutral, then I recommend it. Just look up my name on the internet, Nick Abbott, and then put podcasts in, and it will become clear.
This is LBC. Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
So they opened their big mouths and out came talk. Talk.
This person talking is in Worcester and is called Matt. Matt.
Yeah, hi, Nick.
Matt.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I just thought you should mention the silver lining with the sewage. The silver lining being the pumatos. Have you heard about pumatos?
Pumatos?
Yeah, it's basically the seeds that have been left on particularly high tides from sewage released during storms.
Oh.
And because the seeds then have settled on fertile soil, they grow lots of tomato plants. And I know that people on the Kent coast, whilst doing their litter picks, they're eating the tomatoes whilst they go along.
No.
It's helped with litter picker volunteer recruitment.
I seriously doubt that.
That's true, though. I kind of read it on The Independent. But the other thing is, I thought of this sewage problem. I got an idea to help the Conservatives spin it to a general election winner.
Yes.
They could have a big poster of Sunak sat on a compost toilet with the slogan underneath, "Save our rivers, save our fish, save the whales." But what do you think about that? I don't know.
I think it's so bad that they might actually go for it.
But there would be possibly a future Tory cash for compost scandal, though, if they went down that road. And I had thought with the pumatos, the Conservatives could run a food bank, and they could make a tomato sauce from the pumatos and serve it with pasta for 30p.
A fresh and delicious meal for just 30 pence.
Yeah. It might be stolen, though, by Reform, though, before... because he's gone there now, hasn't he, obviously?
No doubt. Keep thinking, Matt, and as soon as you come up with the recipe, I want you to let me know straight away. All right. Thanks a lot, mate. Pumatos. 0345 6060 973. Tristan texts, the Minister for Common Sense has banned jobs to help disabled people in their jobs. This is the same person that introduced a programme to increase access to work for disabled people. Maybe somebody should explain to McVeigh what common sense is. I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? The Minister for Common Sense. It's like a Monty Python sketch. It's just so silly. This is what they've been reduced to. This is who we are now in this country. These are the people that are leading us. I mean, thank goodness for Donald Trump in America, because otherwise we would be the laughingstock of the world. The Minister for Common Sense. As though nobody else in government has it. Dave says, I see our glorious Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Starey Eyes Hunt, says taxes will go up under Labour like night follows day, while overseeing the highest tax hikes in 70 years. They really do take us for fools. Yes, they do. With good reason. It's because fools keep voting for them. And what's extraordinary is it's the poorest of us that vote for the Conservatives the most. You think it's the other way around, but it ain't. Well-off people do not vote Conservative in the same numbers that poor people do. But you try to explain this, try to explain any of this to them, and they just go into, like, robot mode. Oh, it's the politics of envy, that is. You just can't get through to them. Some people you just can't reach. Name that film.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Vanessa says, are lanyards the same as the party badges that we wore with our name on at parties when we were 5? No, Vanessa. No, they're not. Dave says, Brexit Britain has now got Brexit Britain has now got toxic tap water to go with the sewage in the rivers and the seas. Well, it's, you know, if we can get all of our water to be the same colour, then at least it would go. You know, matchy-matchy. If we can get the water off our beaches and the water in our rivers and our lakes and coming out of the tap to be a sort of brownie... Disgusting. Then, you know, it would match. Anything goes with brown. Tooting. Hello, Jan.
Oh, hi. Good evening, Nick.
Yes, Jan.
Yeah, so I've got a few points.
Well, you better hurry.
Okay, one is about this portrait of Charles with the butterfly on his shoulder.
Yeah.
But it was actually the portrait that started before he was king, and it was his idea to have a butterfly in the painting.
It looks like the devil's tail to me. That was my first thought. I thought he's painted him as the devil because he looks like he's coming out of fire, and the butterfly on his shoulder looked very much like the arrow point of the devil's tail to me.
But it's got quite a interesting thing about the monarch butterfly. It's an American butterfly. You know, it's a North American
is it
one.
a monarch butterfly?
A monarch
is it
butterfly.
Really? So it's a joke.
It's got interesting. I mean, butterflies always have an interesting folklore to them, but there's a special meaning. Like if a butterfly lands on your shoulder, it represents a loved one, an angel, a spiritual guide. But also, it's to do with metamorphosis as well. So a butterfly can represent a spiritual awakening, entering a new phase of life.
Rebirth, yeah.
So I'm not quite sure whether it was Prince Charles who chose the monarch butterfly or the artist. Do you know what I mean?
No.
But he definitely chose it before he became king.
Right.
And the portrait was started before he became a king.
Yes. What other points do you have?
Yes.
Being as how you're running out of time and all.
Yeah. So the other one is about. I thought it's lovely news to hear that Paul McCartney is he should have been one ages ago, a billionaire.
Lovely news.
Billionaire thing.
Well, how is that lovely news?
Well, because I actually thought he was one already. It never occurred to me that he wasn't one.
Right.
But it was his tour, that recent tour he did, his Got Back tour, the Now and Then album that hit the charts and his thing. And also, there's mention like listing Beyonce's Blackbird as everything's boosting his income.
Yeah.
And that all right, that's that one. But the last point I wanted to say then, if I've got time to say, is about Beyonce being. It's so strange to read it in the press about that she's being listed as a proper noun, and I thought that the journalists have said that she's now a proper noun, which I thought, well, that sounds really weird.
Yeah, well, it's less weird than the Beyonce. Here, listen, Jan, I have to go. Dave texts, Brexit Britain has now got toxic tap water to go with the sewage in the rivers and the sea. Sue says, I'd like to order the warmer of those weather forecasts, please. In fact, make that 2. Pauline says, is it likely a Tory donor is going to get a lucrative contract for replacing lanyards? I would imagine that is probably true. Yeah. Please accept this £100 million contract to replace lanyards. You don't actually have to replace any, but just take the 100 million. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850, email Nick A at LBC. If you're on Twitter, it's at LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global. Leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Everything is going extremely well.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Yep, this is it. Rick texts, in the run-up to the election, I'm quietly longing for a time after the result and hopefully a change of government where we can have a sensible, serious government to replace the distraction and silliness of the last 5 years. However, having recently watched the excellent The Thick of It, I am slightly worried a change of government might be a different blend of silliness. Lucy says, are these rainbow-coloured lanyards McVeigh's trying to stop civil servants wearing part of the Tories' plan to improve national security? Yeah, no, that was about stopping the boats.
The country's priority is to stop the boats. And at the same time, I think people know that I'm relentlessly focusing on stopping the boats. And I'm relentlessly focused on stopping the boats. That's one of my 5 priorities, stopping the boats. And I think people know that I'm working night and day.
Yeah, sure you are. Painful. Bermondsey, Lavinia Grace. An ecstasy of fumbling. Yes, Lavinia Grace. Too late. 0345 6060 973. Murray says, is Armando Iannucci writing this government? It gets more farcical every day. Maybe someone should call Peter Capaldi to bring back Malcolm Tucker. You know what? I never saw that programme. I just have a natural aversion to British comedy. Now, having not seen it, I can't say definitively whether it is or isn't. But overall, British comedy isn't funny. I prefer that comedy makes me laugh rather than sit there stony-faced thinking, yes, that's amusing. You know, I like to lose control of myself when I watch comedy, because that's the key part for me. It's supposed to be funny. Now, I don't know whether that Malcolm Tucker thing, the thick of it, was funny or not, but I didn't watch it because it's a British comedy, which by and large aren't funny. Now, of course, you can name a British comedy that's funny. Everybody would, well, not everybody, but I would immediately go to Fawlty Towers, which I reckon is probably the sweetest, most perfect, funny thing ever made. Probably because they only made 12 of them. Because that's the other thing about British comedies, is that they're all out of ideas after about a dozen episodes. I mean, how many episodes was The Office? It was about 12, wasn't it? Something like that. And after that, they just squeezed all the funny out. So, and especially a long-running British comedy, it's a no from me. But, you know, I am prepared to be proven incorrect on that score. Let's go back and see if she's ready yet. Lavinia Grace.
Oh, hi, my
there you
How are you?
Yes, madam. How can I help?
I've been waiting for you.
You've been waiting for me? I've been sitting here waiting for you. Where have you been?
I've been here. I've been here all the time, Nick.
Me
but
too.
Anyway, my love, I know. And it's so lovely to hear your voice again. It really is.
Is it?
It really is, honestly. It really is.
Okay.
Well, what I'd like to talk about, I'd like to talk about actually two things, actually, what's bothering me.
Yeah.
The first one is all this contaminated water that's been going on, which I think is awful.
Don't
Absolutely
drink the tap water.
Disgusting.
It really is. It's brown. Ugh.
Exactly. But what I want to say, Nick, you know the government at the moment, right?
Yes.
Well, I honestly believe that their minds, or would I say, their brains are, what's the word, sort of polluted with contaminated feces. Because when I sit here and listen to all what they've been talking about recently,
their brains are contaminated with polluted feces. Did you just say that? Right.
Yeah, honestly, because it's becoming a joke. Everything is crumbling, and I've been saying it for the last 2 or 3 years. And
I've been saying it for the last 6 years. The last 14 years I've
Nick.
been saying that.
Exactly, Nick. But what I want to say is that I really believe that this the government are sort of contaminated with the feces that's in the water.
Feces. Yeah.
Polluted, and they're not coming across right. They're definitely not coming across right. And this thing about common sense, this is just the icing on the cake. Because what I want to say, Nick, listen.
Yeah.
What I want to say, I've been sitting here listening to what you're saying and other people saying, and also listening to the government.
Yes.
And I'm just sitting here thinking, am I going round the twist?
Yes.
Or are they going round the twist? And I thought, I know what it is.
Yes to both of those questions.
Nick, I know what the answer is. Their brains are polluted with feces. But can I just say also... Nick,
can I just say something before you say something?
Yeah, go on.
If you put your ear to the brains of this government, this is the sound that you would hear. That is the sound of a polluted brain, Lavinia Grace.
I know. And, oh, God, I've got to get the words out. Hold on, Nick. You know what's happening at the moment?
What?
What really is happening at this moment? I really fear for the people, because I've heard you say many occasions that why isn't the people not doing anything? Why, like in...
why aren't the people revolting?
Well, not that sort of standing up saying enough's enough, right? But I believe, what's happening now?
What?
What I believe, I feel so sorry for the people at the moment, and I think what it is, they're on an escalator, and they're going up and down, up and down, up and down, right? And they're paying this and they're paying that, and they're in a trance, and I feel so sorry for the people in this country, Nick.
They're
and
on an escalator in a trance. Well, that is very dangerous, because you want to pay close attention when you come to the end of the escalator. Otherwise, you might get, sucked down in there underneath the gubbins, which is very bad.
Yeah, but can I tell you the good news, Nick?
There's good news. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
The good news,
yes.
All right, because I've waited longer. I've waited so long for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The good news is,
yes,
we are going to have Mr. Trump.
That's good news.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why it's good news, because he's courageous, he's fearless,
mm-hmm.
and he's, what's the word? I can't get my words out. Hold on, Nick.
Spell it.
You're resilient, all right? And that's what we need. We need just someone as a leader. We need someone to say what's really going on, because at the moment, everything's going pear-shaped.
Here, Lavinia Grace, have you been drinking the water in Devon?
No, but I'll tell you what I've been doing. I've been in the pool. I've been in swimming.
In the pool, yeah, and you probably got some in your mouth, didn't you? I think that explains a lot of questions that people have been asking themselves over the last minute or so. Thanks a lot, Lavinia Grace. Appreciate it. Sarah says, Trump is as honest as Pinocchio. And I think Sarah is completely correct in every respect. Unlike the last caller. He's honest and resilient and brave. Is that what she said? There or thereabouts, yeah. Plus, he always tells the truth. He's an honest person.
I'm a person that wants to tell the truth. I'm an honest person.
He lied.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hello, boys.
0345 6060 973. Rob says, I live in Brixham in Devon. I've lived here for 8 years, mate, says Rob. Very aggressive. He says, never drank the water here. It's disgusting. Well, there's absolutely no reason why it should be disgusting. In fact, all the way over down in Devon, you would imagine that the water would be pristine and clean. Not disgusting and brown.
Disgusting.
Awful. David texts, Esther McVey was appointed Common Sense Minister after Titchy Suit Size was challenged to get the words common sense and Esther McVey in the same sentence, and the only way you could do it was to create this post for her. Well, that makes as much sense as anything else. And Chris says, if there is a Ministry of Common Sense, is there a Ministry of Uncommon Sense? Oh, wait, that's the Cabinet, says Chris. A listener with material.
Oh, no.
0345 6060 973. Watford. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Nick. I enjoy your show very much over the weekend.
Thanks.
What I want to say, I'll be very brief to you, okay? First of all, this Ministry of Common Sense is ridiculous. I mean, actually, it should be the Ministry of Rare Sense.
Rare sense? Because there's precious little of it.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely writes it on the line. And to be honest with you, the people that are listening into your show tonight are going to vote at some point when the election comes up.
Yes.
So they are going to sway their thoughts about where they're going to vote or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is out of a comic book. I mean, is it actually out of a comic book? So I can't believe any other country in the world would have a Ministry of Common Sense.
No.
What do you think about that?
I think you are completely right in every respect. It's become embarrassing to be British.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you.
That doesn't leave us anywhere to go then, does it?
No, I know. So when the election comes up, and it will eventually, I think
I don't know.
It's going to be a bit of a landslide. We predict it's going to be. We don't know for sure, but I think it's going to go towards Labour. What do you think about that?
There's chumps writing articles in the newspaper saying, it's going to be a hung parliament, as though writing it is going to make it happen, the people in the right-wing press. Just like they wrote that Susan Hall was going to pull an upset and become the mayor of London. They wrote that on the morning before the votes had actually been counted, hoping that by writing it, it would become so. But it ain't necessarily going to happen that way. No, I don't think so.
Right. So what they've got to do, I think the government's got to, I think the Labour's got to have a straight win, and they've got to get in there, because if you get a hung parliament, I suppose what will happen is there'll be a link in the chain somewhere. You've got to have a straight win here, because if they go to a coalition, it's not going to work. Labour have got to have a straight win, Nick.
Well, I don't know. It depends who they go in a coalition with. I mean, if it's that Count Binface, he's got my vote. Thanks a lot, Paul. 0345 6060 973. James says, Donald Trump is rubbish, but if Joe Biden is the best that the Democratic Party has to offer, then the world is on fire. But I think that with Joe Biden, you get a functioning government. You get experts in their field who are proposing the direction of travel. If you get Donald Trump, you get a 5-year-old baby in a man's suit who screams and shouts the place down if he doesn't get enough flattery. And he employs only people that are stupider than he is, which is, quite a low bar.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
I'm like a smart person. He just said that. 0345 6060 973. Oldbury, Ranjit.
Hey, Nick, you're right.
How's the fish and chips business going, Ranjit?
Very hard, mate. Very hard.
Is it?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, there's chippies have started to close down now. Yeah, because some of them are going on an extended break because potatoes are too expensive.
Yeah, I saw fields of potatoes that weren't happening, that they'd become flooded because of the rain, which I'm sure has absolutely nothing to do with global warming. Why would anybody think that? And so we're going to have to be sourcing potatoes from where?
Cyprus and Spain, I think, at the moment.
Right.
But, it's like everything else, Nick. In this country, nothing works, does it?
Nothing works in this country anymore. That is true.
No. I mean, people are coming in and they're saying, oh, well, you know what? How much is this? How much is that? And you think, 5 years ago, nobody used to ask,
No, they just ordered what they wanted because they didn't feel that it was going to be ruinously expensive. What's the cheapest item on your menu, other than chips? Saveloy.
A potato fritter at 70 pence.
A potato fritter? What is that?
Yeah, that's like it's a like a potato cut. We call it a scallop here, but most people call it a fritter. It's like a potato that's sliced crossways, yeah, and then battered and just fried, really.
Ranjit, that's a chip.
No, not square, but like how can I describe it? It's like
half a potato. Half a potato. Yeah, I get it.
No, half a potato, but probably about half an inch thick.
Right.
Yeah, and the whole of the potato.
And then you fry it.
Well,
that's a chip.
Okay. Nick, everybody's struggling everywhere you go now,
yes,
right? I mean, the other thing is that
unless you're the king, of course, in which case, the money just keeps pouring all over you. And Tishy Suitsai and his wife.
Yeah, I mean the other thing, Nick, is when you go to your supermarket, the pack sizes have reduced.
Yeah, shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation. And then they says, we're going to reduce the alcohol content in the beer and everything.
Alcohol content in the beer?
What?
You're joking.
Yeah. So they save in excise duty. So everybody's being conned, really, in lots of ways. Mm-hmm. And when you work for yourself, they say, Ranji, are you looking to buy a new Mercedes or something? Is that why you put the prices up? I mean, we're lucky, really, the clientele we've got. They don't really complain. They say, look, we're struggling, the same as you, and say, we'll support you. That's fine, which is really humbling, right? But then if somebody does moan, I say, well, look, just go down the road half a mile. A shop that was run by a family for 50 years has been shut down.
Mm-hmm.
what does that tell you?
Right.
And then they know. They say, look, we're fine. When
Plus, I would imagine if you've got competition, then the price in your competitor your competitor's shop will be just the same as yours. I mean, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just having a beer.
You haven't been drinking the water, have you?
No. I wanted to talk about the water.
Yes.
If you was to flush manure down the sea in Brixham and places like that, it would actually make it cleaner because at least you know what's in there.
Yeah. Plus,
You know
you'd be
what I mean?
going to jail, whereas we know that nobody responsible for any of the above is going to jail. They will, in fact, go to the House of Lords.
And the other thing, you know, when Jeremy Hunt was speaking this morning, and you always go on about him being stone-faced and all this, he's actually so smug, and he feels so smug, right, that he's talking rubbish to us, right, and he's expecting us to believe it, right?
I wonder what goes through their mind, because they must know by now that we don't believe a single solitary word they say. Are they aware of that? Are there people telling them that is the case, or are they just blissfully unaware of that and think that we are hanging on their every pronouncement?
They are aware of it, they know it, but they think that was too stupid.
Well, with good reason.
Yeah, because like what you said earlier, how do these people get in? We vote them in.
Exactly.
That's where they're in.
It
right?
is all
Now,
our fault.
I've got no problem with Labour raising taxes, because what they'll do is they'll raise them a little bit fairly, right, where the people right at the top will pay a little bit more, and that will benefit people at the bottom, Now, the thing is, it's a high tax rate at the moment in 73 years, and a lot of it is staff taxes that people don't even realise.
Well,
right?
the difference is between here and somewhere like Sweden or Denmark or Finland, where all the happy people live. The difference is that we are taxed about as much as they are. The difference is the governments in Denmark and Sweden and Finland take that tax money and use it for the benefit of the people. In this country, on the other hand, the government takes our tax money and who knows what they do with it? I have no idea what they do with it. What are they doing with it?
They benefit the people right at the top. Look how much contracts was given out during the COVID, right? Look how many contracts are given out every day to people. I mean, they're still borrowing, the water companies are still borrowing money, to pay dividends, right? So when they walk away, the debt is going to be even bigger for the taxpayers to pay.
And I think that I think the government will be doing exactly the same thing. I betcha that if we are allowed to have another general election, then just before it, Hunt will get up behind the lectern of his choice and deliver us a slew of tax cuts, which won't be affordable. But he won't care about that. The intention will be to force Labour to at their initial budget to raise the taxes that the Tories just cut.
West Streeting missed a blinder this morning because he should have just turned around and said, listen, yes, I am going to have to raise taxes because how does the Treasury, get the money in? It's got to come from the taxes. Now, if somebody's on £20,000 a year and you take 1% of their income tax, right, that's going to be nothing, right? They're not going to even benefit. But people who are earning millions and billions and ripping this country off, 3 or 4% they get. Because even when you walk into my chippy or you walk into your pub or anywhere, those taxes are affecting you. Each time money exchanges hand, tax is being paid.
Yes,
right?
and I restate my case. And the difference between us and the happy countries is that the people there feel that the government is using the taxes that they pay for the benefit of the people. Whereas in this country, we don't feel that at all. Probably because they aren't. I mean, just pause for 1 minute. The highest tax burden in any of our lifetimes, and yet there's potholes in the road. The NHS doesn't work. The police aren't staffed enough to come around if you're being burgled at this minute. There's streetlights are going out. The caring system is on its knees. Am I missing anything? Absolutely nothing works in this country,
No.
and yet we pay and we pay and we pay.
Nick, I've come up with the idea now, what the difference between Labour and the Tories is, yeah?
Go on.
Okay? What the Tories have done in the last 14 years, right, they've taken all the money that they've generated through taxes or whatever and given it to just a few people.
Couple of
yeah?
friends, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of friends. So the gap between the rich and the poor has gone bigger, like one of the callers was saying, yeah?
Yes.
And what Labour does is they have a level, more society, right? Yes, they'll make a lot of people comfortable and one or two quite rich. Yeah, that's the difference between the Tories and that. Because most of the people will feel comfortable.
Well, they'll feel more comfortable. Let's not get carried away. It's going to take a long while to turn this ship around. You can't turn it around on a sixpence. It'll take at least the first year for anything positive to happen, to undo some of the catastrophic decisions that we've been suffering from the last 14 years. So after their first go-around, after the first 5 years of a Labour government, they probably won't have very much to show for it. 10 years is what it's going to take. And I would not be surprised if the people, having been pummeled by the propaganda delivered to them by the right-wing press, would, after 5 years, blame the Labour Party for everything that ails this country and then vote Conservative again. Ranjit, gotta go. But thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. This is LBC. I'm Nick Abbott. It's just past 12:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
What's he got to be depressed about?
Where do I even begin? David texts, we Brits are undeniably revolting, but we never revolt. Voting Labour is the nearest we ever get. I fear they will not address the in-depth causes of our long-established inequalities and soon hand back the reins to our undeniable betters. Yeah, I do believe that I just said that. But I didn't put it quite that well. I think that they will not address the in-depth causes of our long-established inequalities, but they won't be able to do that because they won't be in power long enough. You can't turn this boat around in 5 short years. It's going to take much longer than that. And the very moment that the Labour Party win the next election, assuming that that is what happens, and a catastrophe does not ensue, the moment that they get into number 10, then the entirety of the right-wing media in this country is going to blame Labour for everything that's wrong with this country. You know that that's true. And there's just enough people that will be nodding along thinking, yep, that's right. You can't trust Labour with the economy. Whereas the opposite is true. You can't trust the Tories with the economy. Just look at it. James says, Donald Trump is rubbish, but if Joe Biden is the best... No, I pretty much think I've read that one already. I'm losing my voice, by the way, and I've got, let me see, 3, 6, 10, 11... 11 shows in a row.
Oh, no.
So you're going to have to help me out. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, make my excuses and cry off ill. 0345 6060 973. Tina says, in my 62 years old. Here, where is it? Oh, there it is. In my 62 years, I've often wondered why in Britain they stupidly build houses on floodplains. Like in America, why build houses in tornado... Huh? In my 62 years, I've often wondered why in Britain they stupidly build houses on floodplains. Like in America, why build houses in tornado-heavy areas out of what looks like flattened, fragile sticks and twigs once the wind has done its thing? God, there's so many commas in there. Some of them are in the right place, Tina, but, if you put a comma after every word, then, they're bound to be. Like a clock's right twice a day, even if it's stopped. Caroline says, my tap water isn't brown, but I'm thinking of boiling it anyway just in case. Well, that's just good advice. James says, all the polls in America favour Trump by some way. Do you reckon they're in some way massively incorrect so that when Biden wins, they can kick up a massive fuss about the result again? Well, that's an interesting thought. You know, if Trump goes in, Trump and all of his ding-a-ling fans, if they go into the next election thinking that they are going to win it in a landslide and they lose, which is entirely possible, because when it comes down to it, are all those people really going to vote for Donald Trump? I mean, they're not all ding-a-lings in America. And it's only going to come down to a couple of states, like 3 or 4 at most, because most of the states are solidly either Republican or Democrat. And so it's the undecideds in about 3 or 4 states that are going to decide who is going to be the world's most powerful person. And are they really going to come down on Donald Trump's side after everything that they know about him, after everything that has been exposed
Disgusting.
in the trial so far? And who knows where it's going to go? And it's not the only trial that he's facing, of course. Multiple trials for multiple sins. Are all those so-called Christian people going to actually vote for him? I find that hard to believe. I mean, I know that the option is, it looks like he's made out of parchment. But, just add water and Joe Biden becomes a real person. John says, Jeremy Hunt is like an ironing board in a suit. What's wrong? What's up with his face? I mean, is this... have I missed the memo about this? But there seems to be something wrong with Jeremy Hunt's face. It's as though somebody has come behind him and grabbed all of his hair and is pulling it backwards and then put a bulldog clip on the excess skin in the back of his head. And he can't blink anymore. I mean, I would imagine that he hasn't had a facelift, but he does have that sort of Jocelyn Wildenstein look about him. I mean, have you ever seen him blink? I rest my face. Which is a thing that I don't think he can do. He's in permanent surprised mode. He probably looks like that when he's sleeping. Chris says, I guess with brown water, they don't want to say that they're getting to the bottom of the matter. Oh. And Caroline says, maybe they'll sell the air off next. Caroline, if they could have done that, they would have done it already. They've sold off absolutely everything else. And what little we got left, we got a for sale sign on this country. I challenge you, name a single thing that you assume is British that is actually still owned by a British person or group. I double dare you. I bet you can't do it. And everything else, everything that we haven't sold off yet, is on the cheap because of, well, the government would say that it's because of the pandemic, but the whole world had a pandemic, as far as I'm aware. It wasn't just here, it was everywhere. And practically everywhere else did better out of it than we did. So it wasn't a pandemic. It was probably Brexit. Brexit put a for sale sign on this country. Everything that hasn't already been sold off on the cheap to foreign investors, to fire the staff and then borrow against the infrastructure and then award themselves £100 million and then find that the company itself can't repay the loan, so the company goes bust, but the people in charge got £100 million. I think that's how vulture capitalism works. And Brexit made it possible. How's Brexit going, by the way?
Brexit's going great.
Glad to hear it, Nige. Glad to hear your pet project is going so well. Because if it wasn't going very well, I do recall that you were promising to leave the country. Don't tease us. The moment Brexit's not going well, Nige, I want you on the first plane out to Rwanda or anywhere. Ian says, do you think Thatcher sold the water because she knew it was full of full of impurities? And Tom says, at long last, the compassionate Conservatives have fathomed out why, as a nation, we are so skint and deep in the mire, and apparently it's all because of the sick and the disabled, and they're going to put a stop to them. As a disabled person, I'm sorry for ruining our once great nation. Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Tom. See what you've done? I mean, I could talk about that now, but I feel that I'm losing my voice. He's talking about the Department for Work and Pensions. They released new statistics showing that fraud in the disability benefits system is, in their words, a non-issue. And this is the government's latest anti-woke move. It's not an anti-woke move. It's another wing of the culture wars. Another attempt to make you distracted and make you angry at somebody other than the government. At this point, it doesn't really matter who it is. They don't care. Now they want to make you angry at disabled people. Just when you thought they couldn't go any lower, they managed to find a way. Richmond. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Nick. Phil in Richmond here.
Hello, Phil.
I just a couple of minutes ago, I heard you mention something about on the Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first thing that occurred to me was, yeah, I think they should all be hung. Sorry, they're probably hanged. And I'm sorry, I'm Scottish, so those being hanged. They should all be hanged, but I'm not getting into that. Right. You also mentioned that you thought this nation's gone down the drain. And so I'm asking you, where have you been? Because that started in about 1916.
1916?
No, sorry, 2016. I'm not that old. But, I mean, I go to Europe a lot, and it's amazing that how we're laughed at. You know, it's kind of embarrassing to be British.
It is a little bit, yeah. I mean, most of Europe is shutting up or is putting up the shutters in anticipation of us arriving there on holiday, apart from anything else. I mean, we are the worst tourists in the world. We get drunk, we pee in the streets, we have sex on picnic tables, and basically just act like a bunch of children. Huh?
I never did that, Nick. I never did that.
Well, if you say so.
I might have peed in it on the beach, but anyway. It's just that I know this hurts a lot of our fellow Brits, but it's so embarrassing to be British now. And my wife happens to be Swiss, but she's British now. And she won't use a British passport when we travel anywhere. She'll pull out her Swiss passport, right? Yeah. And we were at Malaga recently. She flies through the security check. Mm-hmm. And, literally immediately. And I'm an hour, I think it was an hour and 20 minutes.
Well, that's the taste of freedom, that is, Phil.
It's freedom. But I'm in the queue, right? The zigzag thing you have with the barriers and stuff where todos otros pasaportes. So you're in there with people from all over the world. And so I turned around to a couple next to me who are British also. And I said, well, this is Brexit, right? Right, thank you, Brexit. And they give me this look as though I'm like a traitor or something. No one responds to that. Like, people, like someone you said earlier, we don't revolt. What's wrong with us?
I don't know. I think partly it's British people don't like drawing attention to themselves. So there is a lot of that. We have a sort of surf culture here, not S-U-R-F, S-E-R-F. Right. I think we're a nation of cap doffers. We always have been. It's just amazing that trait exists to this day. We just genuflect in front of those that we consider are our betters. And that would be, people like this.
I don't know anything.
I mean, is he anybody's better? No, but you almost take your hat off, even if you haven't got one, just at the very sound of the man.
I mean, I've seen people curtsy to Nigel Farage. Okay, I won't keep you any longer, mate. God bless you.
All right, thanks a lot, Phil. Appreciate it. 0345 6060 973. Curtsying to Nigel Farage.
I'm a nutcase.
I find that hard to believe. Is it because he's famous? Emma says, Jeremy Tax Cut Hunt. Is it? I don't know. It's just something about that man's name. To do it very slowly. He is in the press talking about yet another national insurance cut before any general election goes ahead. It's almost as if the vital stuff, like the NHS, is so well-resourced that they don't need us to pay taxes anymore. Yeah, he's going to go way further than that. I betcha that before the next general election, they're going to axe inheritance tax. Anybody want to take that bet? They're going to axe inheritance tax for two reasons. One, they're the people that are affected by the inheritance tax. The rich. Almost nobody else is. It's a vanishingly small number of people that are actually affected by it. The reason it's so popular is that they call it the death tax, which is a cute trick they learned from the Republican Party. And people generally don't like anything that's got anything to do with death, particularly if taxes are involved as well. So even people who will never be hit by the inheritance tax hate the idea of it. So that's the first reason, is because it will benefit the Tories, because the Tories are, this government is full of people who will be affected by the inheritance tax. The second reason is that it will force the Labour Party coming in to raise that tax again to a sensible level. So the Tories will be able to, will have the benefit of, it's a win-win for them. If the Labour Party leave it alone, then the Tories have got their wish and they can pass on their vast fortunes to their insufferable children, without paying a penny, like the King did, or the Queen, rather, to the King. And so that's a benefit. And the other benefit would be to be able to paint the Labour Party as the party of high taxation. It's a win-win for the party that should lose. But I don't know, there's just something about them. Maybe it's a deal with the devil. They always seem to come out smelling of money.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
We are running late. Marion says, there was a time when we in Britain were asked for donations to enable children in third world countries to access clean drinking water. Nick, like you, I wonder if this is real life or I'm hallucinating. God, wouldn't it be marvellous if we were hallucinating? And we woke up and this was just all a bad dream. And we had, in fact, gone back to square one. Paul says, there is poo in our rivers and there's poo in our sea and there's poo in our drinking water. I have tracked down the source of all this poo and I can confirm. And, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. That's a little bit too much poo there, Paul. James says, my sympathies are with Keir Starmer, but I still can't fully get round to voting Labour. And it's a horrible position to be in because I've been put off by the Conservatives. My aunt is a councillor for the Lib Dems in South Staffordshire, and the money the Conservatives waste is criminal. There's no such thing as public money, only taxpayers' money, said Margaret Thatcher. You remember Margaret Thatcher, don't you?
Boo!
Yeah, that's her, yeah. Andrew says, the King's portrait, it looks unfinished. Somebody should tell the artist to complete the painting. I would have picked any other colour than red, especially when detaching the head and hands. Yeah, it's just... my initial reaction, and this is only seeing it on the phone, was that it looks like a portrait of the devil. Where is it? One moment. Here we go. I mean, he's coming out of what looks like fire. Great big sausage hands, though. So he's got that right. And the face is good, but the background and the jacket and all of that, it's just a bit... I guess it's sort of matte, the background, so it brings his face forward and it's kind of 3D-ish. I would have to see it in person. But I know that Jonathan Yeo is good at what he does, but it just looks like he's painted the devil there. And what are all those the medals and the badges on his jacket there? What are they for? I mean, the royal family, they just award each other prizes for excellence in being mummy's little darling. It's just ridiculous. What are they for? He's festooned with so many medals and swashes and badges. If he sat down, he'd need a forklift to get back up again. But he does look kindly. He looks sort of self-satisfied, as you would be if you'd just got a £45 million pay rise. Because that is apparently what we are paying him. 45 million more than he was earning before. This is one of the richest people in the world. Which is exactly what I was talking about with our SERF, S-E-R-F, culture in this country. And we're perfectly okay with that. But if somebody who is a carer for a disabled person gets overpaid by £1, we all lose our minds in this country. And we want that person dragged across hot coals. Benefit fraud. The Department for Work and Pensions. This is after the government is now going after disabled people for benefit fraud. This is their new culture wars thing. They want you to be angry at disabled people, for crying out loud. Inconveniently, the very Department for Work and Pensions has just released statistics confirming that there is no such fraud in the benefits system. They said the fraud in the disability benefits system is 0. Which it would for any other government somewhat dampen their powder. But not this lot. I'm sure they'll just try to blast away anyway. No such fraud exists, and that's what they are going to stamp out. And people are get all hot under the collar just at the very idea that somebody poor got £1 extra. But one of the richest people in the world got £45 million extra a year, and people are thinking, oh, well, he's worth it. The king, what with all the smiling and the waving. This is a ridiculous country. We've got the world's most expensive royal family, and we got more people living in poverty on our streets than any other first world country. How are the two coexisting? Sue says, perhaps Meghan paid for the King's portrait. And that's the other thing. This constant, obsessive coverage of Meghan Markle and Hazza, trying to paint them as the wicked witches of the West. Some journalists are utterly obsessed with her particularly, but both of them in general. I can't imagine any other country's press are full of such utter nonsense about their royal family, as few as there are left in the world. Just here, concentrate on the important stuff. Nikki says, who owns Mars? If one day we'll be able to live there, who do we apply to for visas? Elon Musk, probably. I had to jump through considerable hoops to emigrate to New Zealand, says Nikki. Right, all these, assuming I've still got a voice tonight, oh my God, so many. I know I've said it before, but it really is extraordinary how people just don't want to communicate with their mouths anymore. They just communicate with their thumbs. 8 pages of closely typed texts I'm going to have to get through tonight. Leave it with me. I'm a trained professional. Now, if you missed any of today's show, you can listen back and catch up on Global Player, which is the official LBC app. We do the Friday and Saturday night shows. We put them up the internet as a podcast. We take the news and most of the ads out, mostly, which means it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity. And with the money you save, you'll be able to give King Charles a Philip. A little bit extra. He's worth it. If you haven't got Global Play, you can get it now for free from your App Store or head to globalplayer.com. If you've got one of them stupid smart speakers, the magic phrase is play Nick Abbott, the whole show podcast. I'll be back tonight at 10. Coming up at 4 on LBC, it's Ollie Dugmore. But first, Clyde Ball. Or 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 but first, Clyde Ball.